before I describe some of the most prominent relics in the series, or in other words, relics that are actually used, I must clarify that the term relic refers both to naturally existing objects as well as man-made objects, given that their properties originate from abyss materials. Relics typically receive a grade at auction, meaning that their grades can be subjective and affected by variables, such as their rarity and utility. This umbrella is a man-made object using a third-grade relic known as charcoal sand. Though charcoal sand is a third-grade relic, this umbrella's poor craftsmanship brought its grade down to 4th. Due to the charcoal sand's strength, this umbrella's main use is that of a shield. The Sun Sphere is an egg-shaped lantern used primarily as a diversion to escape predators. This item has been confirmed to have multiple copies. Fogweave is a thin and transparent blanket. Though its utility is not known, it was used by Nanachi in order to explain the nature of the force field, given that this blanket's infinitesimal mass causes it to float in the direction of the force field's wake. Gentle Knock is a man-made lock-picking arm. It is made from thinking stones, which are mined for in the 3rd layer at the Great Fault. It consists of strong pincers capable of forcing objects open, as well as a central device that can change into different shapes to fit any keyhole. Its controls are located near the top of the arm, although the device is said to be as difficult to control as it is to move one's fingers in different ways and rhythms all at the same time. According to Nanachi's bonus trivia found in Volume 11, it is also common for people to stick this relic up their butts, also stating that this practice claims several lives every year. Mermaid burps are small handheld devices that release gas when activated. The most valuable mermaid burps are the ones that release breathable air, although all of them, regardless of gas, carry a fishy smell. Princess bosoms are squishy elliptical stones that are adorned with patterns. Though their use is not known, they are considered grade 3 relics due to their rarity. The Far Caress is most likely a one-of-a-kind relic made from a cylindrical enclosure of an animal. This relic works by manipulating the animal's tentacles in order to reach objects or opponents several meters away. This relic is capable of manipulating several tentacles at once, although it was stated by its owner, Bondrewd, that it was incredibly difficult to master. White whistles are 2nd grade relics that are capable of activating the secret functions of other relics when blown into by their respective owners. For more information on the white whistle's lore, see Chapter 5 of this guide. The Blaze Reap is a gunpowder-enhanced pickaxe that detonates a variable charge after being struck. Depending on the type of strike, this pickaxe can deposit a charge inside the cavity of what it struck, thus not only being able to detonate a charge on the tip of the axe, but also inside the object. Since this relic is made from another relic called Peace Phobia or Everlasting Gunpowder when translated from the original Japanese, it will never run out of gunpowder. Due to its versatility for abyss survival, it can be used as both a tool or a weapon. The Curse Warding Box is a large box-like relic whose name is a misnomer. Though this item cannot repel the curse of the abyss, it can reanimate or resurrect organisms that were placed inside of it. Though many organisms eventually die after being reanimated, some do not, such as Riko, who was placed inside of the box following her death and to this day continues to live several years later. The side effect of all organisms that were reanimated or resurrected, however, is that they become drawn to the bottom of the abyss, and as such, eventually attempt to make their way there. Third Works is the name given to the arm variant of the psychokinetic prosthetic relics known as Works. This arm can be moved by the mind and can also be attached to a living organism, at which point it receives a blood supply and becomes a permanent part of that organism's body. There are other types of works that resemble legs as well, although their full name remains unknown. Thousand Men pins are spiky and barbed pins that when inserted into the skin, grant the user the strength of 1,000 men. Multiple can be used in order to further accentuate the user's strength. Ozen is a notable user of this relic, having around 120 inserted in her body. The Unheard Bell is a special grade relic capable of stopping time for everyone except the user for as long as the bell's sound can be heard. When struck, only the user is able to hear its sound. This relic was located during Liza and Ozen's expedition to the 4th layer, in which after being retrieved, was relinquished to the city of Orth. Zoaholic is a relic that is capable of transferring the user's consciousness into anyone who has touched the relic. Though it is unknown how the user can impose their will on others without them being able to do the same back, what is known is that all the consciousnesses linked together via Zoaholic can communicate with each other, including the user. This relic comes at a cost after prolonged usage, however. It is stated that all users eventually lose control of their consciousness due to its constant division and conflation with other consciousnesses. The symptoms of one's loss of autonomy include betrayal of one's original self, collapse of one's sense of self, loss of control, confusion, and loss of the boundaries between oneself and others. Due to Zoaholic's status of being a special grade relic, it was kept by the city of Orth before it was stolen 15 years before the start of the series. It was later found to be in Bondry's possession. Abades are not grades that are issued at the time of auction, but rather colloquial terms for relics that transcend special grade status. As of now, only 2 Abades have been mentioned. Reg is the name of an interference unit like robot who was categorized as an Abade by Ozen. His exact origins are unknown, and whether or not he's an actual interference unit is also unconfirmed. Reg also suffers from retrograde amnesia, which prevents him from remembering anything that happened prior to the beginning of the series. What's interesting is that though Reg's name was given by Rico since he didn't remember his own name, according to Fapta, Reg was what he was called all along. Unlike all interference units shown, Reg has the appearance of a young human child, albeit with metal arms and 2 permanent red marks on his cheeks and across his ribs. He possesses human organs on his exterior, including male genitals, and can also bleed despite not being human nor being limited by human necessities. He is also outfitted with a helmet that has the ability to wirelessly communicate with his arms every time Reg's primary weapon called Incinerator is used. After Incinerator's use, Reg's helmet displays a symbol similar to the symbols shown on other relics. These symbols are hypothesized to indicate Incinerator's remaining usage left. What makes Incinerator unique is that despite its name, it does not necessarily work by incinerating objects, but rather making them disappear. This weapon in use appears as a cylindrical beam of light of varying diameters depending on the amount of power Reg decides to use. It is stated by Nanachi that because Incinerator has the ability to make objects vanish, including Mitty, who was deemed indestructible, it intrinsically has the power to rewrite the rules of the Abyss. Aside from Incinerator, Reg also has the ability to extend his arms up to 40 meters with built-in metal cables. This ability allows him to descend and ascend areas of the Abyss with minimal effort, as well as to aid him during combat. This ability has been shown to be common for interference units, with Gabarun also possessing this ability. Unlike interference units, which are not allowed to ascend or descend layers, and unlike humans, Narehate, and many creatures, Reg is impervious to the curse of the Abyss, perhaps due to him being a robot. Just like other relics, Reg also has the ability to be activated via Rico's white whistle. Once activated, Reg's true purpose is drawn out and his helmet and attire turn white, in addition to him gaining greater speed and strength. One interesting thing to note about Reg is that it was stated by both Jiruo and Ozen that Reg's movements resemble Liza's, leading them to speculate that Reg had spent time with Liza before losing his memories. Girl type is the colloquial name for a mysterious figure who was sighted and later drawn by Liza in one of her notes. Not much is known about girl type, other than the fact that a handful of people, including Liza and other delvers from the past, have seen or heard of it. Girl type somewhat resembles Reg and wears a helmet resembling his, although Girl type's is symmetrical. During Reg's overcharged state, he claims he felt possessed by Girl type and Liza, possibly hinting a shared history or connection with Girl type. Lastly, Girl type's name stems from the rumor that those who have heard it speak, as well as seen it up close, claim that this entity speaks with a high-pitched voice and that it possesses breasts, thus leading them to deduce that it is a girl. The following are relics that have not been appraised at auction or given a grade. The Altar of the Absolute Boundary is a spherical elevator that descends from the 5th layer to the 6th upon activation of a white whistle. Its entrance appears to be an impermeable membrane that can be entered through diffusion while still being able to keep water from flooding the inside. There is also a raised bowl in the middle of the vessel. Canopy Unto Dawn is the name given to Bondrewd and his Umbra Hand's specialized armor. Since it is made from relics and biofibers, this armor is classified as a relic. Built in within this bodysuit are mechanisms that ease the risks associated with using Zoaholic. It is unknown to what extent Canopy Unto Dawn eases these dangers or how they even operate. Gangway is a band of light that has the ability to zigzag across a space in order to hit an intended target that is not in the direct line of fire. It is made from another relic called the Stairway of Light, and even after its modification has officially retained that name. Shaker is the name of a relic that can shoot multiple projectiles at once called Cursed Needles. Cursed Needles are darts that were originally carved from a relic known as Cursed Steel. This relic was able to induce the Curse of the Abyss by simply coming in contact with it. As such, Cursed Needles can do the same once they have been shot into the flesh of a human. Sparagmos, also known as Origin Guiding Light, is the name of Bondrewd's signature weapon. It is a processed relic that creates a beam of light when it is fired. Much like Reg's Incinerator, Sparagmos has the ability to make objects and living creatures disappear, and even rewrite the rules of the Abyss. The Cradle of Desire is an egg-shaped relic that has the power to grant the user's wishes, given that they have a simple mind, such as an animal. This means that most humans are incapable of using it, with children being the most likely human age group to properly wield it. When in use, the Cradle of Desire fuses with the user and eventually grants their wish before permanently deactivating. When a human that has a complex mind attempts to use this relic, their bodies become deformed and eventually die. Crumple pots are portable pots or cauldrons that appear as dry and lightweight crumpled up bags when dehydrated, yet when soaked in water, they increase many times their original sizes and morph into the shape of a pot. They come in a variety of sizes and can be further processed with other relics to change into the shape of any mold. Liza's letter is not necessarily a relic, but rather the material it's written on. This material is extremely durable and shown to be difficult to rip, given that Ozan, a character with over 120,000 men pins embedded in her, was unable to damage it. The rigid washer is a type of material that can be used as soap when ground into a fine powder. Though its grade is unknown, it is quite expensive and requires a lengthy process to collect. The Star Compass is a transparent orb with a vertical object that maintains its position regardless of the compass's exterior's movement. It is also adorned with a ring on the outside. This relic originally belonged to Vueko's caretaker and was used by the Ganja to locate the Abyss. Rico later found it in the first layer and correctly hypothesized that the vertical structure in the center of its orb pointed to the bottom of the Abyss. And with this, we conclude Chapter 11.